Hi, this is Nima and welcome to my presentation. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the Entombed of Atala by Girodet. French painter who worked under Napoleon regime. He influenced by Jacques-Louis David a lot because he was the teacher of him and he was pretty interested on his work. He was part of Romantic movement, which this painting is one of the examples of that, and I will show you later why. And some important parts of his life that we can talk about is he lost his family when he was young, and after that he lived in another family which the relationship was pretty good, and after a while he took their surname and he lived under that surname. And the other part was he won the Prix de Rome. So basically there was a competition that the students made the paintings and the best one could go to Rome and live in there for a while, so he could study the Roman and Greek architecture and art and painting. And this happened from 1793 to 1789. Some basic facts about this painting. It was painted in 1808. The media used to make this painting was oil on canvas, which gives the painter the ability to make good shadows and lights, so he can make a really good light, and also the different colors are you have much more variety of colors which you can work with. And the painting is pretty big, and that gives the painter a better way to make details, and you can add much more detail in the bigger painting and you can see them easier and easily. And now it's in Louvre Museum in Paris. It's showing a moral struggle of a girl who had to choose between her own love and the oath she made to her mother that she will stay virgin and become a nun, and she will sacrifice her life for God, and which for that she had to do a suicide, which was really sad. We will talk about more about this in the future. Nothing in this painting is one of the first paintings that you can see a indigenous person on it, which I think it's not a really good work because the person doesn't look like a indigenous person. It look more European. The face structure, the hair color, the skin color are much more European, and also the way he was pictured, I think, is not the right way. I will talk about it more in the one of the last slides. But also it's significant because it's showing a new era of colonialism, and you can see one of the signs in here, and it shows the new world and the exotic new world that they captured. Let's see what we see in the painting. So in the foreground we see the characters we have basically all inside the cave. We see the character, we see the cave walls, we see a shovel and some vegetation. Ground we have outside of the cave, which is the jungle and one cross at the top of a hill. Painting suggests that the character in the middle is the main subject. One of them is the character at the left, which his body suggests a diagonal line which goes to her body. The other one is the person at right, which again his hand and his body suggest another line to this girl. And I saw another line which is the door of the cave, which again goes to the gill, and the other thing is the lighting. You can see a direct light going to her body and her face, while the rest of the painting is under shadow. It's based on a really sad story. So basically the story starts when Octus, the man in the left, have to escape his town because they want to kill him. And the girl in the middle, which is Atala, make the way for him to escape, and they escape together. And they go in the jungle, and in the jungle they found this guy who give them a place to live. This guy also is the person who works in a church, which is a priest. Yeah. So this guy gives him the place, and the place they fell in love. But there's a problem that Atala made an oath that she will become a nun, and for that she should be virgin and she should not marry for rest of her life, which is hard because now she is in love with Octus. Although the priest tells her that she can still change her mind and she can marry this guy and this guy can become Christian, she refuses and she decides to do suicide, so she will be loyal to the oath she made to her mom and also to God. And I think that's really sad. Another thing that worth mentioning is the way she is positions in her position in the painting, which is usually is the way that Jesus has been shown in other paintings before it, like paintings in Renaissance. One of them is here, and I think the painter wanted to show a similarity, like the way that she sacrifices her life for the religions and for the God, and for to be pure is the same as Jesus did. Everything in the painting is how similar the painting is to the paintings of Jacques-Louis David. And one of the reasons is why, because the painter of this painting, Girodet, was the student of Jacques-Louis David. And I think that he really got influenced by him, and also they were pretty good friends. What I mean, like the face of the Atala in this painting is exactly look like the face of the person in the one of the paintings of Jacques David, and the clothes that she's wearing is exactly similar as the other girl. And also the choice of the color of the clothes of the male person is exactly like the painting of Jacques David. And also you can see that the body is also the same. And the whole format, I think, I don't know. In the first glance I saw this painting, they took me to the other painting of the other painter, and I was like, damn, they really look similar. And the painting was made to be shown in the Salon of Paris in 1808. It was shown once after too, and the Salon of Paris was basically a place which the best painters of France would show their arts, and there was so many rules which after they decided to not show it in the salon because of the rules. But in here at this time most of the painters still show their paintings at this place, and Girardet was one of the best. Like the people who made reviews and criticized the paintings usually liked him, and they think his art was worth a lot, and they really liked it. Have some elements from neoclassical movement and some elements from romanticism. The elements that it has from Neoclassical movement is a very muscular man's and very soft in touch and feminine woman. Sometimes so funny. For example, in the painting on the top, the death of Socrates, the leg in the bed is the leg of a person who is at her 80s, which is Socrates, which when he died, he was almost at her 70s and 80s. But in here you see he has a really muscular leg for a person who is 80. And these paintings are from different parts of Europe, and you see that all of them look kind of similar because they're from the same movement. To understand this painting, we should know one more thing, which was what's happening in France at that time. At that time, the religions became after the revolution, religions became kind of illegal. Like the churches could not own property and they couldn't raise money. But this changed after Napoleon became the Empire of France because he wanted to use religious as a thing that keep the people in the line and they don't rebel and justify his wars with it. Which at 1801 he signed a contract with the Catholic Church in Rome to make them again official, and they become the official religion of France again. And in this other painting from Jacques-Louis David, you can see that they are present in his crowning ceremony. We see that revival of the Christianity. We see that the Christian subjects are become the subjects of the paintings again, and in here you see a religious story, although it has classical roots, but it's a religious story, and you can see the Christ in different parts of the painting that I shown here. I want to talk about this painting is the way that is shown the indigenous community and the relationship between Europeans and indigenous people in the places that they went and colonized. Always and most of the time they want to show a coexistence, a love story, a romantic relationship which shows that the both they don't know each other, and if they know each other they would be loving each other, that and the only thing between them that make them not to live together is like they don't know each other. If they explain themselves to each other, everything will be good. You can see this in most of the media that comes from Europe and European culture. For example, Pocahontas. I saw all of these paintings and artworks and I studied them, some of them, and all of them I want to show that the reality was so far from these stories and these paintings and these legends. The reality was these modern European colonizers that went to these countries didn't do any good to them. They tried to kill them. They tried to do a massacre. They tried to kill them all and don't make any evidence and don't show this. So for a typical European person who lives in Europe and never been to USA, like not the USA, like that old America, colonized America, all they saw from that place were these paintings and these stories, and they thought, oh, that's what we are doing there. But the reality was something else. The reality was something like this. For example, in India, the famine happened, which Europe tried to show it as a famine, but actually the thing was Europe was taking the food, like the British Empire took the food from India and imported it to Europe and to the other colonized and to the armies in other colonized places. So that's why there was no food in India at that time. And the other one was the massacre in Congo, which happened by German Empire, which they killed a lot of people in Congo, and they tried to block them with the food, and they don't like give them food for a long time, so they will die eventually at some point. And in this picture we can see a better idea about what was the relationship between Europeans and the indigenous people who lived in America. Well, it wasn't a love relationship, as you can see. There was mostly a war, which because the indigenous people didn't have that sophisticated guns and they didn't know that much, have a war knowledge. They mostly had to sacrifice themselves, and they mostly died in these wars. And as you can see, the Europeans didn't treat them better, and they killed them all, and they put them in a hole, and they just pretend that it never happened. And that's, I think, was the legacy of this painting and legacy of the other paintings and other media like this. They want to show a picture that is not actually true. It's want to lie to us and lie to the people who see these pictures that that's the reality. The reality was all love and romantic stories, and these massacres and these genocides never happened. Thanks for listening to me and this presentation.